Guess he gave up already. Yeah. Yeah. Let alone show up at the next one. Yeah. Oh, feeling better already.
Okay, so far, does it look like public comments? Anybody here for public comments?
Well, the A's found a way again. Losing spectacular, right? The A's. They find a way almost every day.
I love that bobblehead.
Yes.
All right, call this meeting to order at 7 o'clock. Trustee Dudek, please lead us in the flag salute.
I don't think anybody has a hat on, but if you do, remove it. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, and the agenda review. Does anybody have any questions or pull anything from the agenda? All right. All right, and next, special presentation, superintendent report.
Well, I don't have pictures today as we're out of school now, but I wanted to take the opportunity to share a couple of things. I was able earlier this week to visit all 3 of our school sites that are offering summer programs right now, and I just wanted to say a special thank you to both the leaders of those programs and all the staff that are working those programs. We have students that are really getting some great summer work in there. We have an extended school year program, and Matthew Jensen's leading that program, and that's taking place at Brentwood L. If you go by there, you'll be amazed by the number of cars that are surrounding that school. There's so many people that are there and supporting those students. And then we have our extended learning summer camp that's out at Marsh Creek School. And Mark Turner is out supporting that program. That's through our ELOP program and our Right at School program. And so we have almost 200 students signed up for that program, and about 120 that are attending each day as we go forward. And then I know Haley Young's here, who's also been running our Ron Nunn School math intervention program. And that was super fun to visit and see all the great work that's going on in there, specifically targeting our students that need support in math with just a focus on hands-on activities and fun. So I just want to mention that. The other thing that I wanted to say, This past week, we lost Elizabeth Rivera, who was a longtime teacher at Garin, and had a huge impact in the district. And I was hoping at the end of the meeting, we could just adjourn in her honor in recognition of as much service as she's given our district. I know, Emo, you were connected to her, but yeah, those are my 2 items.
What's the enrollment at the Ron Nunn Math?
I'm sorry,
The enrollment for the Ron Nunn Math program?
Haley Young, what is our?
About 300 students.
I thought there was a lot. I live in that neighborhood.
Yeah.
Takes me forever to get out. Thank you.
That's about right. It's pretty much the whole horseshoe of the main campus is taken up with classrooms that are there. So
It's incredible.
it's great. It's
Yeah.
great. And kids are coming and they're enjoying it. So it's fun.
A lot of work, a lot of work.
All right, and do we have any public comments? At this time, the public is permitted to address the school board on items that are on the consent calendar, requests for future agenda items, and items that are not on the agenda.
Move that we open public comment.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
If there are no speakers, I move that we close public comment.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, okay. And next up, consent items. All matters listed on the consent calendar section will be considered routine by the Board of Education and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items. So can I have a motion to approve 8.0 to 8.3?
Yeah, and I'd like to ask the board to make an addendum and add an 8.4, which is we did have a walk-in personnel document, so I'd like to add that to the agenda, please. And I'd like to speak about that just a second. It's there in orange, and there's copies for the public as well outside. We have a couple of things on there that are of interest. First of all, we have an approval. If this is approved, there's an approval of our new principal for our brand new school, which is at the Lone Tree site right now, yet to be named. And that's Danielle Dobbin. And so I just wanted to say how excited we are to present her as the finalist for the board tonight. This is an important position to both open a school and to serve as principal, right? It's about building a community, and we think she's going to do a great job. So Danielle's had experience at all 3 levels of education and currently works to train administrators and support administrators through the Teachers College of San Joaquin. And so we think she'll be a great candidate. I also wanted to introduce Lenore Medina, who's our principal of Edna Hill, who's going to tell us about the candidate that she's recommending to be her next assistant principal.
Good evening, Board and Dr. Egan. You've heard Mrs. Cindy Young. Many of you may not know this, but she was actually a student of Edna Hill a long time ago. And she's been in education for about 16 years. 4 of those years have been at Edna Hill as a 6th grade language arts and social studies teacher. Last week, she interviewed for our VP position, and I look forward to working alongside her if you approve this.
Okay, thank you. So Haley and Danielle, Haley, you can sit down, it's okay. If this goes well, after the board votes, we'll let you introduce your family, okay? But if it doesn't go well, we don't want to have you introduce your family. That would be uncomfortable, okay? So we'll see how it goes. Okay, so board, those are ours for consent items.
I'll make a motion that we approve consent items 8.0 to 8.4.
I'll second.
Oh, I'm sorry. I also have one more that Mr. Schmidt is going to introduce. I forgot that this was on the personnel one, or Mr. Calabrese, whoever wants to go forward.
Cancel the motion.
Yeah, sorry.
Thank you. Sorry about that. I was a student at Edna Hill a long time ago. Haley was not a student at Edna Hill that long ago, just for the record. I want to introduce everyone to our new purchasing agent and who will oversee our warehouse, and that is Rick Van De Star. And Rick is here with his wife tonight. Rick comes to us from Harvest House. He's overseen that business as a general manager for over 20 years and ran the warehouse there. He's also worked for Safeway. He did an exceptional job in our interview process and references, and just a real asset to us to be able to come in and support the district this way. So welcome, Rick.
All right. Rick, same thing goes for you too, okay, in terms of introducing your family. All right, here we go. Sorry, now we're live.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve 8.0 to 8.4.
I will still second.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carries.
Right. Congratulations, everybody. So Danielle, you were up first. You want to just stand and just tell us a little bit about yourself? Just
Hello, I'm Danielle Dobbin, and as Dr. Eaton said, I have extended experience in elementary school, high school, and higher education. Added class for tonight is one of my co-teachers this year, so I've been able to work at Edmonton this year with co-teachers. I didn't know I could recommend them, so.
that's next time. Yeah, it's all good. Haley, how about you?
Okay, hi everyone, I'm Haley and my family is here tonight. My dad, Roy, my mom, Erica, who is actually a retired Brentwood teacher. My son, Finn, he's 4.5, and my daughter, Gwen, who is 2. So I'm really looking forward to this opportunity and working with obviously Lenore and Tammy and everyone at the district. So I'm really grateful, so thank you.
Congratulations, Haley. And Rick.
Hi, thanks for Advanced Star. I'm happy to be here. Appreciate the opportunity. I'm here with my wife today, very Advanced Star. She's also an education, career educator. So excited for the opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much. Rick.
Welcome.
All right.
I would like to just make one note that normally we would have cake and some festivities, but the administrative assistant for Dr. Eaton is on vacation, and it was he's in charge of it, so speak for itself, so.
Yeah, we're going to see a lot of what she actually does here today as we go through this meeting going forward. We are really excited, and it's always so thrilling to add new people to our family or have people within our family rise up. And so we're really excited to have all of you join us as we go forward. With that being said, we have some young kids here. Finn, doesn't Finn have a camp too that he's going to? Is that right? Weren't you telling me about that? So Finn, you're going to camp? All right. Is it fun? All right, good answer. All right, so you are more than welcome to stay for the meeting, and we'd love to have you, but if you feel the need that you need to go, the board will understand that as well. So
I have a water if one of the kids wants a water or something. Congratulations again.
Congratulations. Welcome.
congratulations.
I also went to Edna Hill too, and I think Emil probably went to school with Edna Hill.
She's my daughter's teacher. Yeah. Social studies, right? Right, social.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 6th grade.
Yeah. And I'm friends with Trish.
Okay,
Baron.
okay. Oh, say no more.
All right, and hearings and appeals, could I have a motion to close public hearing proposed 2023-24 Brentwood Union School District Local Control Accountability Plan?
So moved.
Michael, do you have any comments?
There were no public comments.
Okay.
I move that we close public hearing 9.0.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, and then 9.1, close public hearing.
9.1.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you. Presentations, reports, and other action items. There's no report out of closed session. And 10.1, equity audit update.
Okay. Hi, Anita.
Hi
Nice
there.
to see you.
We might have the internet situation going because mine is deleted.
Oh, there it is. Can I see her?
Oh.
All right. Well, we're thrilled to have the Canizales Group with us again today, and they're here to give an update on our equity audit and talk about where we've been and where we're going. And thank you so much, Anita, for being here.
Sounds great. It's good to see you again and to provide a progress update.
Can you hear and see me okay?
That's what we're confirming. Try again.
Hear
Perfect. Hello.
Hold on one second because there's an echo.
It's so nice to be on this side, but knowing some of you more personally now than the last time that we spoke, and even hearing Leonora's voice and being and understanding her context and the Hill's context, because we've done site visits now. So we're here to provide an update of what has been done in the BUSD equity audit thus far. We did pretty extensive introductions last time, but again, my name is Maida. I have children that I love at Pioneer and Adams that are part of my family, and I'm a longtime educator from Brentwood. Yanida?
And I'm Yanita. I am a Brentwood resident, Brentwood mom, and a proud partner of the community in the school district.
Next slide. So I want to start with revisiting the why. As you all know, the school board approved an equity audit for the USD, and then the USD went and searched for partners of the work, and we were selected as a partnership. And when we first started this, and when we first presented to you all, we said, we see how this work aligns directly with BUSD's core beliefs. We also let you all know that there are inequitable student outcomes at BUSD, and they fall across lines of differences around race, socioeconomic class, emerging bilinguals, learning differences, and they span across academic discipline and belonging. And we looked at baseline data around where our different subgroups were in terms of quantitative data around discipline, academics, and belonging. At that point, we said that we also need to go and see stories and have a strength-based approach around what is working that we want to amplify and what is possibly causing these inequitable outcomes that we want, so we can have a clear vision on what we want to interrupt and replace. But we also said we're going to engage in the community to see what their why is, and we have done that, and we're happy to report some of that today. So we said we have a moral obligation and professional obligation to disrupt the inequitable outcomes. And we know that we have district leadership and district board committed to doing this work. What you'll find today is that you also have a very brave and ready community. We also believe that it should be centered in the community's way. And the last time that we met, we said our job as a partner is to hold a mirror to the community at the USD and the city of Brentwood, so that things are done with community, not to community, and it doesn't feel like outside voices telling you all your own life. So we engaged in the listening campaign. We had town hall meetings. We have a DI committee now. You're going to hear more about the timeline and engagement and everything that's been done. But through all of that, these were the 4 things that rolled up as themes of why the BUSD community, both staff, parents, and students said is their why. The first is the community believes that belonging and representation for our students and their families is important. They are interested in redesigning practices to meet shifting demographics. And there's some competing notions of where to start. Some people think it's in hiring, it's in belonging. Others think it's in the teaching and the learning and the curriculum. But they're ready to start to redesign. The third is to disrupt inequitable outcomes. And the fourth is reducing harm in curriculum and in interactions. Many people in our listening campaign were able to express their own stories of harm, and that they think that that is happening because our staff has to be supported in exploring their own biases. Next, we're going to show you 3 quotes that kind of support some of these things. The first came from a leader. This person said, I can see the lack of DEI in the students,
and the frustration from parents. They are the most affected by the decisions. It comes down to this assignment, this teacher, and this comment. I can see the impacts on their humanity. I don't think that the harm is always intentional, but it doesn't make it any less harmful or hurtful. Another staff member said that the students of color are mistreated and overly suspended in our schools. The test scores also prove that we're reproducing the status quo. And a community member said, we are diversifying quite quickly, and our structures to embrace this diversity are not yet fully realized. There is an undercurrent of desire in the city, but there's a history and culture that bumps heads with this. You'll hear a little bit more around the fear of change that some community members are experiencing. But we thought that it was important to say, we know why you all first adopted the equity audit, and now we're proud to report that we know why the community wants to embrace this. Next slide. Again, our goal is to have an equity-driven movement fueled by trust in the USD. We want it to be transparent, engage in authentic community collaboration, and an abundance of information flow. And we hope to tell you what we've done to try to make that happen. So what progress has been made? The next slide gives the timeline. The first time we were with you, only the first one was yellow. We were still in the data and artifact analysis. We can now confirm that all of these have been done. Our listening campaign via one-to-ones was done, listening campaign via focus groups. The community town halls is orange because we've hosted our first one. Our second one is scheduled for the fall. We have completed all the school visits, and we have seated a DEI multi-stakeholder committee. The last time we were here, we were still recruiting. These are the engagement by numbers. In the listening campaign, there was 23 one-to-ones that resulted in over 800 minutes of listening to community. The listening campaign had focus groups, 5 for staff, 3 for families, and 2 for students. The families was for elementary schools, and the students was for middle schools. Our community town hall was well attended, 70 plus attendees. It is also recorded, and the presentation is available. We completed school visits to 5 schools, 3 elementary schools and 2 middle schools, and visited over 30 classrooms for data collection. And the DI multi-stakeholder committee had lots of applicants, 49 applicants, 36 participants were selected, 11 schools are represented, 18 family members, 8 staff members, 6 district office, 3 school site leaders, and 1 school board. And the DI multi-stakeholder committee reflects the diversity of the BUSD student population as well. Other accomplishments, there's a BUSD equity study website that is new and up and running. You can find all the engagement plans there, the recording of the town hall, and also the engagement plan and how to stay committed and informed. And we, the picture on the right is actually the BUSD DEI committee retreat that we had a couple Saturdays ago with beautiful representation and active participation from the community members. Next, Yanina's going to tell you about a lot of the things that we accomplished at that retreat.
So if you could believe that on a Saturday morning at 8 a.m., I believe, this room was full of volunteer community members who were ready to say, I want to be a part of this change in this movement in partnership with Brentwood. And it was really beautiful to see that it was a multi-stakeholder group. One thing that we've heard in the engagement is that one of the strengths of Brentwood is the diversity that exists in our community, in our families and our students. And doing this work side by side with families brings that strength and that richness into the conversation and into strategic planning. So one of the first things that we did with the committee that we thought was really important is that we needed to align on a equity commitment. Whenever you have a new team that's forming together in order to do courageous and deep work, we have to be really aligned on our collective why. So what you see in front of you here is a draft. You see the big stamp there, that's a draft. We went through multiple iterations of lifting all community voices to be able to share what the committee believes and what the committee wants to commit to as they engage in this work that will ultimately lead towards recommendations that will inform the strategic plan that the executive cabinet and BUSD leadership bring forward to you. If we can go back, Mr. Robin, one, please. So I'm not going to read all of them, and you have them in your report. But I did want to highlight some of the things that the community members shared that they believed. They believe that the inequities exist in our students' education and that we must allocate resources and programming so that all students can have equitable support systems that meet their needs and maximize their potential. That's that second bullet there. They believe that staff learning must be continuous and prioritized to support equity work. And they also believe that ongoing and real-time collaboration with families, students, and staff is critical as we think about how Brentwood can be further aligned to its values around diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. So that's what they believe, and what they commit to as a committee is the next slide. And they commit to disrupting, surfacing, and confronting, dismantling the systems that contribute to uphold inequities in their children's or students' education by having honest conversations and exploring deeply the causes of inequity, holding each other accountable, and taking the actions that result in equitable outcomes for students that can be measured. They also want to commit to showing up, right? They realize that that they need to foster a deep appreciation and relationship with each other as part of this committee work, and to even take the relationships and the communication beyond the committee to serve as ambassadors of diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging work in our community. Because as you know, we can have all kinds of communication plans through websites, through Peach Jar, through principal messages, through emails, through social media. But in many communities, and in communities like Brentwood, a word of mouth also that it's connected through other parents at school who are talking about this work, or teachers speaking with teachers, or neighbors speaking to neighbors really matters. So these are some of the commitments that were made that we wanted to make sure to share this with you. It's in draft form because the next phase is to take this back to the group and to have them go through a consensus building protocol. Now, as far as the phases of work, as you know, when we started in January, we wanted to first just set the stage for the work with project planning towards the engagements, data collection and analysis, lots of listening through one-on-ones. And then in around March through April, we began to really build a broader movement. We partnered with BUSD to create an external communication that went out through Peach Jar to all families, went out in the principal messages, hard copies were sent to school sites, really informing the community about this work and specifically informing them on how to express interest in the committee. And that's also when we began to recruit for the selection of the committee. I will mention that at first we thought the committee was actually going to be smaller. We were hoping that the committee was going to be about 25. And because we had an overwhelming response, we increased the participant numbers specifically for more spaces for families, because 70% of the applicants for the committee came from families. And Marita shared the numbers earlier, but really if you put those numbers all together, half of the committee are family members and half of the committee are BUSD staff or leadership. We in May and June, like Marita mentioned, we did the school visits, the focus groups, and we launched the retreat. And right now, the moment that we're in is that little flag there, is that today we're mostly reporting on the engagement process, but by the end of July, we will have executive summary report that we will share with BUSD leadership around what the findings are from the analysis of the qualitative and the quantitative engagements that have been done so far. One thing that we did at the retreat that we thought was very important was that we collected a lot of data. We shared, right, 800 minutes of listening to folks, multiple focus groups, 30 classroom visits. There was a lot of qualitative data collected. And we wanted to make sure that as a partner, we did not make sense of that data on our own. Instead, we turned over that anonymous data in themed ways to the committee, who further made sense of the data as a community. So what I'm going to share next is a little bit of their thought process when they looked at that qualitative and quantitative data as a preview for the executive summary findings. So we asked, they got into groups and we asked them to consider different data sets and to think about what were the new learnings that they discovered, what were questions that they still had, and what were some initial recommendations that were brewing in their mind. And that's what you have here. I won't share all of them, but I'll highlight a few. The committee definitely recognized that there is work to do and there's room for growth. And that the need for belonging is not just for students, but also for families and staff as well. That there is a desire for inclusion, but there is a lack of true implementation and support. And that there's some resistance from teachers and some fear of change. At the same time, there is also a big group of the community that's ready for change, and they believe that the BUSD has the right people committed to do this work. It's very clear that the lack of diversity and representation in staff to student demographics is a wide gap, and that we need a unified vision to make this work happen together. Some of the new things that they learned, it was mostly about the student experience, how high the suspension rates are, especially for certain subgroups, such as Black and Brown boys. Through the student focus groups, they learned, the students were very honest. They learned that that students don't count on consistent support from the adults in their schools yet, especially when it comes to harmful racial statements. That our students are seeking connection, culture, and accountability and clear consequences and continuity and support from their adults at school. And that they feel that their experiences in racism on campus and other isms, and that they often feel unaddressed or not addressed sufficiently. The students also recognize that change must occur not only at school, but also at home, and that it needs to be a collective effort. What the committee processed as far as their curiosities, there were a lot of questions around change management. How do we honor traditions that are really rooted in Brentwood while also trying to figure out how to move forward in more equitable ways? Why are people so afraid of change in this community? What can we let go of to be able to focus on this work? What is the disconnect between our goals and mission and the implementation that we see in the schools as it regards to diversity, equity, inclusion, belonging work? And really importantly, what financial resources are available that will then support the strategic planning around this? Yes, thank you. These are just a preview of a few of the recommendations. We really encourage the committee to not jump to actions, not jump to recommendations, because it needs to be thoughtful work that really moves up the speed of trust and the speed of information that we're receiving and processing. But if we're natural humans that want to solve problems, and that's why they're there. These are some of the actions that were under consideration on that Saturday morning. They believe that it's important to keep trying and create more attempts at bias training and learning with staff. They believe that hiring more diverse staff should be a priority, that it's important that this work gets buy-in from all stakeholders. The student voices that they heard were so raw that they felt compelled to ensure that student voices were even more centered as recommendations move forward, that we continue to gather stories. And they believe that DEIB efforts need to happen also locally at schools. It is great that we have this district multi-stakeholder committee that's looking at the balcony level vision, but the emerging ideas that can come from school sites where we establish DEIB committees either through parent clubs or with student representatives through a multi-stakeholder approach. The folks at Saturday Morning felt that that would be very beneficial. Like, how does the district work with this committee at the balcony level, but also create grassroots opportunities, organic opportunities at the school site levels to bring forward solutions as well. And as far as looking ahead, like we mentioned, what's in progress is that at the end of July, we will share with you an executive summary with an overview of the engagement and the findings. In the fall, specifically by the end of October, which is when our partnership scope of work concludes, we will have by then a second retreat with our DEI committee to further shape recommendations for the multi-year strategic plan. If you remember, we want to make sure that this is not a side project, but that instead that recommendations are embedded within the natural yearly strategic planning that the district does. And those efforts begin December, January. So we want to make sure that recommendations come in before then to be further shaped. We will also be launching monthly subcommittee work groups. The volunteers who were there that Saturday morning said, we need to meet more. We want to do more. And they actually came up with 2 subcommittee work groups that they wanted to be a part of. One of them is around communications. How do we continue to be creative about how we share this information and seek feedback from the community? And the second one is specifically around how do we establish DEIB committees at school sites. And we will also, like Marita mentioned, we'll have our town hall number 2. Those are calendared. They're on my calendar, but I don't know the date by memory. We hope that you can make that as well. And finally, we will work with BUSD leadership to ensure that the recommendations are embedded into the strategic plan to the maximum extent possible. We've been really clear with the committee, right, that our role is to make recommendations. And then the district cabinet and board leadership, your role is to approve a strategic plan that embeds the recommendations to the maximum extent possible that will lead towards tangible changes in student outcomes and family outcomes. And with that, that's the update that we have for now, and we're happy to take any questions that you may have.
So your presentation said you had a town hall meeting and 70 people showed up. Is that, we have 9,300 students in this district. Is that the norm? I know you guys have done this before. And out of the 70, I'm assuming a high number were committee members. So is that the norm? Or, I mean, that's not really a, what's the word I'm looking for? A wide variety of opinions when you only have 70 people at a town hall meeting in 3 schools. And I mean, is it, again, is that the norm or is that?
I want to clarify just 2 things first. The committee was established after the town hall. So when we had the town hall, we didn't have any committee members yet. It was actually a strategy to engage people further in the committee efforts. And there weren't just 3 schools. We visited 5 out of the 12
Well, I meant
schools.
elementary, my apologies.
Oh, yes, we visited 5 out of the 12, 5 out of the 12 schools in the district, and those 5 were recommended by the steering committee in BUSD, specifically for the demographics of that school. So for example, Pioneer, because of the size and the service to our special education students and families. Mary Casey Black for our service to language learners. So each site was recommended for a particular reason to get a sample. The 70 town hall participants, I would have loved it for it to be more. I think, Chris, you had an initial goal, right? Do you want to share your thinking around the goal?
Yeah, I can't remember exactly my number, but I think it was 10 from every, thank you. It was 10 from every site, right? If we did 10 from every site, then you're getting a better representation of the district. The fact that we had 70 people attend, I got to say, I've been to plenty parent meetings for the district where 3 people showed up. So the fact that 70 people showed up at our first time to engage this work, and as Yanira said, the DEI committee hadn't been formed yet. So now we have these ambassadors out there that can promote that for the next town hall. And so that's exciting.
Yeah, and Our goal through the subgroup committee, the one specifically on communication, is to further amplify, right? That's the sole purpose of that committee. Right now, the communication methods that are being used are the ones that are traditionally used in the district, right? Peach jar, social media, hard copies to the sites, presentations to different groups like the Caregivers of Color group, the LCAP district parent groups, and sending messages for the principals to then send out, whether it's in their Sunday message or whatever form of communication that they have. But clearly, to your point, we need to be creative and we want to do more. And the committee wants to do more because there were some folks who, even with all those mixed method approaches with communications, were still not receiving the information in a way that they needed to, right, to show up, because we do believe that there are more people that care about this topic and the opinions to give. And that's why we're setting up that subcommittee to be focused on that specifically.
Yeah, I also agree with that. We actually got an email today from a parent who was like, I missed the deadline, I just found out, can I still be on the committee? But it was good to be able to direct that parent to the website, to the town hall, to the school board meetings, and let that parent know there will be more ways to engage and there will be another town hall. But we are getting engagement for joint planning committee even weeks after the deadline passed. So like the Marines are out in the community as well. But I am excited that one of the working groups will be a recommendation.
And the great news too is that the recommendations will then inform another engagement process, because your district strategic planning process has also its methods of community engagement. So it's going to receive 2 rounds of that.
And I'm sure all of us can attest, not just in this area and stuff. I mean, unfortunately, like Chris said too, you go to a parent-teacher conference and the same 3 people that volunteer at school are the only 3 that show up. And it's unfortunate that, you know, this affects everybody. It doesn't just affect brown, black, you know, different types of kids. And it'd be nice to have more community involvement, you know, that's what makes change, you know, so.
Absolutely. Diversity is multifaceted and way beyond race.
Yeah. I'm out.
I just wanted to add I know Twee, you were there, and I thought it was a really excellent Saturday morning. I was nervous about going and worried that people wouldn't show up, and pretty much everybody did. That was on the list, and I think, and it was well worth their time. So I really want to commend you and Maida for putting together a well-facilitated morning that went very fast, because it felt very full, and I think people got a lot out of it. So thank you for your part in putting that together.
And actually only 3 did not show up, and 2 of those 3 are attending a makeup session to still join.
I didn't know there was a makeup session, so there you go.
Thank you. We appreciated it too.
I also want to share that the committee roster is public. So that's been shared, and we're happy to forward it to you as well, because we believe, again, that this work should be transparent, right? People should know if you're at Adams Middle School who your representatives are, so that you know who to speak to more if you want more information.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thanks for the update.
Thank you. Good night.
All right. All right, next up, 10.2, approval of local control accountability plan.
Okay, so 10.2 and 10.3 are both 2-part items. So you saw a presentation on 10.3 on the budget before, and the LCAP you've seen several presentations on. Those documents are there and for your approval tonight.
I'll make a motion that we approve 10.2, the LCAP plan.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
10.3, I'll make a motion that we approve the district budget as Robin spoke about last week.
I'll second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, and I just want to take a moment to present to our outgoing CBO an award, Robin Schmidt. Yes, we so appreciate all of the work that you've done over the years. This is in sincere appreciation for your dedicated service to Brentwood Union School District.
She really have a PowerPoint in the background.
Put it in a special place, Robin, because you meant a lot for all of us. I mean, for me, it's, I'm not the sharpest pencil in the box when it comes to budgetary items. And as best as you tried to make it understandable for somebody, at least of my level, I appreciate it. You were wonderful, and we're in the fiscal position because of both of you, but obviously you had the purse strings too, so, and you ran the purse strings, so wonderful, and good luck in retirement. I hope you have some non-budgetary plans outside of a checkbook maybe, but good luck.
I'll echo what Scott said, Robin. I learned a tremendous amount from you in the 5 short years I've been here. I still not great with my own budget, but it's very nice to know that our school budget was in such good hands. You did tremendous work constantly, and we may moan and groan about long PowerPoint presentations, but they're very necessary and were always very helpful for all of us. So thank you for all you've done, and absolutely enjoy your retirement. It's well deserved.
And I sat on the interview committee for the new CBO, and I could definitely attest to the fact that we are in a very strong financial position, so much that every single candidate said that they wanted to work here because when they examined and investigated the budget, they really wanted to be here. So that's because you were such on top of everything and made sure all the budget details were in place. I know it's a very intense work, and I appreciate all the work that you put into it.
I got a chance to say a few words at your reception, and Cindy's not here. Cindy. And I expect you to look forward to that time before you will have more time together. But we also mentioned within that we deal with in budgets who don't know what we're getting. We're guessing at best and trying to figure out what we're going to have to spend. And the way that you succinctly, really though it seems to take a bit of time, but succinctly project how we can look at the budget. If this happens, this may happen, if this happens. And all those moving parts and putting it together and making it make sense. It's not a simple budget. And you do a beautiful job. You'll be missed. I've gone through, I think, 6 or 7 CBOs in my career. We have a period there where we have you, and you've done a great job. And I'll miss you a lot. I depend on you for that.
I just want to remind you that tomorrow's still a work day.
Robin, I think perhaps we should think about, or I was thinking about it, the Robin Schmidt Elementary School, but I could see elementary kids turning your last name into something else, so it's probably not a good idea. So, anytime, you got that coming from me, you know that.
I was a middle school teacher.
I was a middle school teacher and administrator, and I had to remind the kids that I've heard it, I've seen it all. You know, I know what happens when you leave the M out of my name. It's all good. So try it. I've heard it before. Let's move on. And so middle school people probably understand that. But yeah, thank you.
But the thought's there.
You could see why there would never be a middle school administrative team of Eaton and Schmidt, right? So that being said, are we, as we're at a summer meeting here,
That being said,
So thank you all very much. Really, I appreciate it's been a great working here, and I could go on and on. And I just appreciate the support that the board's provided and the trust they provided me, but especially, or more importantly, the support and the trust that Dana's provided to me in what I do. And it's just been, it's a great working relationship with the people and the staff in the district. It's been a great place. Having said that, we have 5 items in front of you that are contracts. Now I have a PowerPoint. If you want, I can call up the PowerPoint, go through it again. But We have 5 contracts in front of you that our wonderful coordinator of food services, who is sitting here and enjoying the meeting tonight, is here and be glad to answer any questions. Her dedication is here because they are her 5 contracts, so I appreciate her being there. There are 5 contracts. We need to take them individually, but I'm not going to say they're normal business because this doesn't speak the amount of work that Kristen did, not only locally, but with the other districts around to pull this material together and get us sort of the best deals we can on these 5. But there's 5 contracts in front of you. You need to take them individually. But she's here to answer any questions, but they're in front of you for action.
That being said, I'll make a motion that we approve 10.4, which is the approval of contract with Golden Foods referenced under RFP FS 2023-1.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right.
I move that we do item 10.5, approval of contract.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right.
I will move that we approve item 10.6, contract with Danielson Company.
Second.
Danielson.
Oop, sorry, second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I have to do Kristen Bell. So 10.7, the approval of contract with Kristen Bell.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Next up, 10.8, approval of contract with P&R Paper Supply Company.
I'll make a motion that we approve the contract with P&R Paper Supply.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Again, thank you, board. And I just a huge thanks to Kristen Neeson, who does a great job with the food services program. And, you never hear about it because she does such a good job behind the scenes. And I just can't thank her enough. So thank you. And I know she's here, had kid activity and other things today. So got here tonight to be here for you in case you had questions. So I appreciate you and thank you for all the hard work.
Thank you so much for all of your work, Kristen.
Big time.
Thank you.
10.9.
Yeah, so the 2 items that are there, 10.9 and 10.10, you typically see around this time. You would typically see 3. So the 3 contracted employees, that's myself, the assistant superintendent, and the CBO. But because we have a new CBO, that contract was just done. The 10.9 is an approval of an amended contract for Mr. Calabrese. And so there is one change to the contract that aligns now with the CBO's contract. So that's there for your approval, and that changes in italics. And then mine is simply not a change in anything other than just extending it a year.
Can somebody
Can
bring
we-
up, there's a date?
Yeah, can we clarify is Chris's
Oh, and there was
contract?
one, yes, thank you. In 10.9, there was a date typo.
Thank you.
And so page 1, item 3, the date should be 6/30/24, not 6/30/23.
And who is that person again?
Dominic Chris Calabrese. Yes,
I just wanted to point out that we read it too.
appreciate that.
And this is a 3-year contract?
We're sorry about the
Yes.
reduction.
So
That has been the standard for the board, is to have 3-year contracts with each of
Very
the
good.
contracted employees.
If there's no other comment, I move that we approve item 10.9, the approval of amended contract for the assistant superintendent of HR.
second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. 10.10, approval of superintendent contract addendum.
All right, I'll make a motion that we
Okay.
approve superintendent contract addendum.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, motion carries. Are there any board comments or future agenda items?
Not at this time, thank you.
No? Okay.
I'm happy.
All right. Then the next regular board meeting will be held on July 19th, 2023 at 6 PM. And this meeting is adjourned at 7:51 PM.
Thanks, everybody.
Never give each man up.